Hello, freak bitches. Well, there's some guys that just get trapped in a persona. We were just talking about Emo Phillips the other night because Emo Phillips is apparently back to his persona. He let it go for a long time, and he just started just being a guy on stage talking about shit. Apparently, the people weren't into that. And so he's like, all right, give the people what they want.
That's the story I tell about.
By the way, I should just clarify, this is just what I've heard. I haven't seen him.
But this is like, Robin was, Williams was my best pal, and he got me a job on a Snickers commercial, and I needed bread. And he was so nice. He's like, oh, so I want you to use my friend, Bobcat. He's got to be in it, And they're like, he actually put their feet on the fire, and they had to hire me. And then he's like, don't take the first money, just wait, tell him no. So I tell him no, and then they came back with more money, I mean, he was great, right?
Right.
So then he calls me up and he goes, they're going to want you to do the voice. Are you okay doing the voice? And I go, for the amount of money Snickers is paying, I will fuck a Snickers bar on camera. By the way, I should say it's a really good candy bar.
It's my all-time favorite.
Yeah. I said I was going to go, but there's something I will address a little bit and talk about. Robin had his coronary report came out, and he had Lewy body dementia. And that is it's a form of dementia that is very rarely ever discovered when someone's alive. It's usually discovered in their autopsy. So he had this form of dementia. I witnessed it. It was diagnosed as Parkinson's.
Oh.
And I witnessed this. I witnessed his processing reality completely different than the way everybody else does.
What causes it?
It's I'm not sure if it's a gene or what, but I mean, sadly, his brain was riddled with this. And so when I think about that, I think about how strong he was. You would have like some days, you'd have a lot of days where he was doing kind of OCD stuff and processing things incorrectly, but then you'd have a day where he was back. So you'd go, oh, well, maybe it's
just had a bad day,
or no, maybe it's the Parkinson's drugs, and they've got to get those dialed in. He was going to doctors, He was in therapy, he was doing, and it just the only reason I talk about that is his brain was giving him misinformation, complete misinformation, and people die from depression, and my heart goes out to them, but that's not what killed him. He really was getting misinformation from his own brain and was suffering from this disease. So I just put that out there because folks know that we were friends, and they'll ask me about it, and I would like a spotlight put on the disease that actually, in my mind, was what was responsible for his demise. Because, a lot of people, It's like, did he ever talk about suicide? I go, we're comics. We talked about suicide for 33 years. Sometimes we talk about other shit. It's like, hey, congratulations on the Oscar. Oh, thank you. How would you do it? I don't know. I think a car. But I just say that because he fought, that's what we do. I don't know about you, but a comic, that's what we do. We fight depression. Things don't add up. This world doesn't seem right, and we go out and we spew about it, and I feel better.
Mm-hmm. Right.
On a selfish level, I don't really give a rat's ass on the crowd. I vent and I feel better. Mm-hmm. And he fought it, and it wasn't depression, it wasn't career, it wasn't, he'd been sober most of his adult life, so
it's very disturbing to me that a lot of people were trying to attribute all sorts of reasons for why he did it, and even there was a lot of
that's my
men's
thing.
rights groups that were attributing it to his divorce settlements.
Oh, brother.
Yeah, there was a whole thing
where
this guy was doing this video, and I even talked to him about it.
But he had
a disease.
He had a disease that caused dementia that I witnessed. I didn't have anybody I talked to more. I talked to him in text and every day. I didn't have a buddy that I talked to more. So, trust me, it wasn't a divorce.
Right.
It wasn't his family. We
have the same agent. So like when this guy was saying this,
Yeah.
one of the reasons why it pissed me off, because this guy was saying that he's in financial ruins. I'm like, no, he wasn't.
No.
He was wealthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, it's yeah. I mean, no one wants to because as human beings, we're trying to make sense of why that happened, and why that happened, in my opinion, which is right. Was his brain was
who would know more than you?
His brain was getting misinformation, and he was processing reality completely wrong. I mean, I won't go into details, but I did witness him thinking things that weren't real were happening. And to me, in the middle of the night, and that's the other thing, like people say, oh, he wasn't in the same bedroom as his wife. It's like, yeah, because he was having seizures and he didn't like to wake her up.
Oh, God.
It's not a question of somebody not getting along. I didn't mean to get so personal.
No,
and I don't mean
no,
it, and I don't mean to talk about his
That's okay.
his home life, because Susan's a wonderful gal, and it's just sad,
Yeah. No, it's awful. That's the one of the scariest things is talking to someone who's, whether it's a loved one, a father, mother, that's losing their grip.
And I think people were they were courteous to a point, but I don't think they take his kids into consideration, and friends and people who worked with him for all these years. And I guess I can't expect them to, I mean, I'm sure I've taken shots at people when they pass away, but it's like people would come up and they go, did you hear what Rush Limbaugh said? And I'd be like, I don't care what Rush Limbaugh says. I'm dealing with people who dealt with him on a daily basis.
Let me ask you this. What is this impulse that people have to denigrate people right after they die? It's almost like everyone else is talking about them. Like I saw a lot of that with Prince when it was revealed that Prince was suffering through opiate
addiction.
Yeah. And I was like, there was like even Gene Simmons said some crazy shit, and he had to apologize. And I'd seen some other people say it too. But it's almost like it's a contrarian thing. Like everyone else is saying, "Oh my God, we lost his genius."
Well, you get heat from it, and I'm sure in Gene Simmons's, I'm sure there's a jealousy thing. But you say, look, I used to say outrageous things about people, and this bomb would go off, and I would get some heat, and I would get some buzz,
Right.
And I stopped doing that. I made a decision. I go, realizing that these weren't just harmless things I was saying.
Right. You just,
I think, it was,
Because there's a lot of that when Kurt Cobain died too, right?
Yeah. But, and that's I wasn't besties with Kurt, but I did know him. I toured with Nirvana.
Yeah.
Kurt liked my stand-up and asked me to go on the road with them. I did a bunch of dates.
Yeah, we talked about it.
But I mean, it wasn't like the situation with Robin, but I did have times in my life where I spent hours with Kurt with no one else, sitting around talking and laughing, I don't know why we want to do that. I think
we try to make sense of it.
I think we're trying to make sense of it. I think that's where a lot of conspiracies come from. I think when someone who's in our mind reached the American dream and then they die or take their life or overdose, we have to say, well, they had it all, and that's what we believe is the ultimate fulfillment and happiness. America is the People's Republic of spring break, where no one's pursuing fulfillment. Everyone's pursuing happiness. There's two different things. I'm really fulfilled. Am I happy? Am I laughing all day? No.
But you're happy sometimes.
I'm happy a lot of the time.
Yeah, well,
I've never
you and
been
I talk,
happier.
like if I didn't know that you're this nuanced guy that's very thoughtful and you have a lot of opinions and you're always considering all sorts of, if I just if I tried to form a view of you based on you and I talking, we're always laughing.
Yeah.
I would say, Bobcat's so jolly. Every time we talk to him, it's like
true.
laughs and hugs and.
But it is true, and it's because we never see each other before noon. First of all, but it's a daily reprieve. It's a daily decision. I get up, the squirrels are up before I do, and I beat them down, and then it turns, And when I'm directing on a set, I'm like, I can react and fear, or I can just sit here for a second or two, and it always usually works out. Very rarely do I have to say, no, man, you just sit there. I think so much of show business, everything's based on fear and people thinking someone's going to say you screwed up or you didn't do it right or you didn't get extra takes and all that stuff. But, man, my job is really not to freak out. I'm really happy right now.